All right, y'all. Happy Halloween.
This is my costume, Detroit versus everybody. Because you know, if you know, you know.
And I am an avatar. The blue people, really, but also the avatar. That'd be airbending and waterbending. Just call me Qatar. Anyway, happy Halloween to those who are participating in the festivities, whether you are actually trick-or-treating, going to a party, going to a harvest festival, or Hallelujah night, as we used to call it when I was a kid, because we weren't.
Or staying in your house turning off the lights.
Okay. Or chilling with your friends, watching a scary movie, which is what I will be doing this evening. Just please be safe, okay? I know we like to think ghouls and goblins are just for the movies. They're not. If you believe in spiritual things, okay. So just
watch yourself.
Keep your head on the swivel outside, okay. So speaking of trick or treat, all right, we tricked y'all, okay. We made y'all think that last week we was talking about surrender, but it's not, because there was 5.
We
Thursday.
Tricked ourselves.
So the treat is we not done, y'all.
But you might not like it, but
you'll get over it. Anyway, tonight we're talking about the scariest place to possibly surrender ever. Speaking on theme. Ooh, spooky. It's spooky. Staying on theme, okay? We teased it earlier in the month, but now we're about to, dive in. Whoa. Shout out to, I don't know. We're not shouting out Trey songs. We're not shouting none of Aubrey's people out. But anyway. So what does that mean? Okay, to actually surrender in a relationship, what does it look like? Okay, is it complete submission? Is it succumbing to completely unrealistic expectations of your partner? This ain't just romantic, maybe your business partner, your mama, your father, whatever. Is it bending to said partner's ego every single time? Is it being codependent? Is it losing all of your autonomy, right? Just to prove that you're loyal or you committed to a relationship? Ooh, all scary, horrifying things. It sounds horrifying, spooky. Okay. So yes, it all sounds terrifying.
Chills.
To me too. Chilling.
Chills blood
curdling. Blood boiling. Anyway, so if you want to know the answer to all those things we just randomly threw out at you to scare you to your core, you should stick around, because this episode is for sure for you.
Hi, I'm Pam Williams, a mother.
And I'm Jessica E. Williams, a daughter. And this is A Mother and a Daughter Truthful Chat, where we discuss our 35-year multi-layered relationship.
We've been through so many ups and downs. Not only are we family, but we're business partners in the high-stress world of event planning and production for short films.
We've also shared the same therapist for over 10 years. What some people call codependence, we call collaboration.
So join us as we share stories from our lives,
have candid conversations with other mother-daughter duos,
and shed light on the roller coaster ride of being a woman while raising a woman.
Y'all know what time it is. Cups up, man. We could do better. One more again. There we go. If it don't clink, it ain't real. Okay.
What are you drinking?
Some honey, Arizona tea, something or other we had in there.
I'm drinking water.
Nothing wrong with hydration.
I'm trying to do better.
I probably need to hydrate too, but it's going to be a long night. So anyway, welcome to Truthful Chats. If you're new here, if you've been here and you're an OG, that's what's up too. Welcome back. Why are you laughing?
I don't know.
Tourism. That was my tourist voice. Anyway, this is Truthful Chats, which is our weekly podcast series designed to get us to the ongoing practice of creating generational wellness. If you're like, creating generational wellness, dang, that sounds deep. I never heard that before. Good, because it's our term. We made it up. So if you hear anybody in the streets using it, it's not connected to Truthful Chats. It's not connected to Pam or Jess. You don't hear nothing having to do with us or the show. Nuck if you don't go to jail, but nuck if you we expect you to ride for us. Okay. Anywho, if you don't know what that term means, we don't really have like a whole lot of time to get into it. But if you, wherever you're watching this video, underneath the description box is all the things you need to know about creating generational wellness and to know that it is our term. Okay. So create generational wellness is the overarching theme, umbrella of where we get all the information for this here podcast. Okay. So at Create Generational Wellness, we have a theme of the month. And then on the Truthful Chat, we unpack the theme. You dig? So, as I alluded to in the intro, the theme for October is surrender. And Pammy will tell you more of where we got that word from. And I know you guys are still very spooked from the intro, but don't worry, we'll get you. In today's chat, if you clicked on it, you know, is surrender in your relationship doesn't mean losing yourself, which is probably a newsflash to a lot of people, but it's true.
So, yeah, the reason we've been talking about surrender all month was we went to a conference at the end of September,
Whoop, whoop.
the Women Evolve Conference with Sarah Jakes. Okay. Yes, it was 26th through 28th. It's been a long month. It's been a long month. But there was so much in the conference about surrendering to unpack that we've been going over it the last month ourselves personally. And we've covered a lot this month about surrendering. So you can go back, listen to those previous episodes we touched on. And so in one of those episodes, we kind of touched on surrendering in relationships. But Jess said, we might need to come back to that at another time because there's a lot and it's kind of tricky to understand. And so first thing we want to say kind of is whatever we're talking about today, we want you to know that we're talking about that in terms of being in a healthy, safe, non-abusive, non-violent, non-manipulative, not narcissistic, like all the toxic things you hear. That is not the kind of relationship we are talking about.
Please don't surrender.
For the purposes of this talk, we are assuming that you are in a healthy relationship, right?
That means physically safe, emotionally safe.
Absolutely.
Like, this is not a person that's isolating you from your friends and family.
Yeah.
Like, y'all are not physically fighting with each other or being sexually manipulative or abusive towards each other. Like, you know, I know some of us don't know, but we're just saying.
Yeah.
We're not asking you to surrender to dangerous people in dangerous situations. Okay. So
yeah. All right. So
that's the caveat.
That's boom, 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 big red flashing light before we start talking about any of this. So what we're talking about is a practice of letting go of control.
Oh, they can't be verbally abusive either.
Yes. Yeah. Practice of letting go of control, ego-driven behaviors, and unrealistic expectations. Those are the things that cause a relationship to fissure, blow up, explode, all those things. Somebody has to have control. Somebody's ego is driving the whole train, and people have unrealistic expectations. So when those three things are happening, for sure, if you want to maintain the relationship, somebody is going to have to. Oh, you're worried about the mic?
I was doing my thing. Don't worry about it.
Okay. Somebody is going to have to learn how to surrender those things. All right. It involves embracing vulnerability, accepting your partner as they are, embracing your own.
That's a hard thing.
Like,
so don't be y'all. Some of y'all like the fixer uppers and the builder niggas or the builder females. Like, if they not, you don't like them like that, then you don't need to be wasting your time.
Yeah.
Y'all be like, well, they'll change, or maybe I can, or or yeah, oh, maybe she like that now. Like, yeah, but you know, if she with me, then
no, they won't. No amount of money, no amount of gifts, no amount of presents, no amount of red bottom shoes, none of all of that
humping
is gonna make those people let go of control or unrealistic expectations or ego-driven behavior. They have to work on that. So that's what I mean by you have to be vulnerable, because you got to work on you. You can't sit up there all the time and be looking at the other person and expect the relationship to change if they would just. That's not how that goes.
Spend their whole life if they would just.
All right. So this concept is not about submission or losing oneself. It's about making space for you to grow, more authentic, deeper. Look at what you need to look at. But since we are on the topic of submission, let's talk about it for a minute, because I can see and hear the people groaning and moaning and rolling your eyes, because it's a hot topic. I've been married to my husband 40 years. It was a hot topic when we said it at our wedding, and it's been a hot topic everywhere I go. When people hear the word submission, And still, it can cause you to bristle a little bit if you don't understand it. But here's something that I learned about submission that has helped me.
But let's talk about the elephant in the room first, especially because we got the red pill community.
Oh my God.
Everybody going back and forth. Some women are like, I would love to be submissive. I forgot what they call it. They extra submissive to their man. They do whatever. No,
I'm sorry.
There's an actual term. They're actually submissive to their man. Like there's a girl. She had an episode. I think her name is Jazzy, but she was on Lovers and Friends. There was a lot of controversy, but she was talking about like being submissive. She's like, my job is to think about my man's thoughts, like his every thought before he does it. So she'll like anticipate his food. She makes his thing. She rubs his back.
Oh,
like
girl,
she does.
Making my head hurt.
She washes his clothes. She'd be like, this is just how I love him. I love to give just whatever he needs. God now, I don't know if he's always doing that in return, but
anyway, that's not what I mean when I say submission.
But saying all that to say, submission has been a problem because I'm going to be on my
patriarchal
women empowerment soapbox for a minute, okay? The patriarchal system has used submission to really have women effed up. That was a very good way to say it. But between the church and any society ever that has decided to subjugate its women, it's always like, you gotta submit. It never goes the other way. It's never submit to your wife, even listen to her ideas or your girlfriend. Think about what she has. It's always you. If you the man, then you gotta, she should be submitted to you. A woman is not supposed to run a man. Even now, y'all don't want to vote for Kamala, some of y'all, because y'all just can't. The idea of a woman being in charge of you, even though that's not technically what the presidency is.
Country.
But your mental mind is like, I can't, women, it feels out of order if a woman is. So this is not a conversation that is celebrating patriarchy, excited about that. We don't really participate. I do think there's a level of respect, right? I think everybody's idea should be considered, right?
Yeah.
I understand, it's particularly the butt got to stop with somebody. Let me go stay ahead to say that because I was going to try to make it heterosexual, but however you do what you got to do. Somebody is the head, okay? Somebody is making the decisions, and somebody is going to be the decider.
Because you have two alpha dogs.
And then God bless you. But somebody's going to be the decider, as George W. Bush Jr. used to say. So however you work that, we understand, but we're not talking about being submissive as a means to overpower, manipulate, control, take advantage of somebody, but continue.
So what has helped me over the years with submission is the concept of separating the two words, sub and mission.
Sub, S-U-B.
Sub.
Break it up.
Mission. So sub, like a submarine, means to go under. So to me, submission is there is a mission and I am under and supporting that mission. All right. I'm supporting whatever the mission is because I'm underneath helping to hold up the mission.
And that is not sexist. That goes either
both ways. Okay. Goes both ways.
That just means somebody got to have the mission though.
And we can have multiple missions because I could support your mission. You can support my mission. Where there seems to be a problem,
confusion
is when one person does not have a mission. If one person doesn't have a mission at all, nothing they're trying to accomplish, nothing they want to see happen, then it's hard to get under that. Because
they don't want to support their people.
There's nothing there for you to support. So in talking about what you want to surrender, sometimes when you're in a relationship and you have this conversation or you're looking to understand what somebody's mission is, if they ain't got no mission, they might not be the person for you. If you have a mission.
Or a mission that you can get with.
Or a mission that you can support. Think about that as opposed to, oh, I just love this. I love this about them. They do this, they do. What is the mission? What is their purpose in life? What has God, whoever they believe in, what has God called them to do and to be? Is that something you can discuss, first of all, that they can articulate, that you can articulate? Excellent. And then, is that something that you can support? That's submission.
That's the question.
All right.
Now, granted, we have seen some situations, circumstances where people have been submitted to somebody who had a mission.
That was crazy.
Not even that. I'm talking about Jeff Bezos, people who have built these corporations and things and have had great success, and then they just decide to shelve said support and go get somebody else. We've seen bad examples of that, which we're not ascribing to or supporting, but we have seen it happen, which I think is also, even though you might be like, oh, that don't sound so bad. We have seen people, but to me, that's a lack of character. How you not gonna ride for the people that ride for you? And look, sometimes things just don't work out, okay? But give me my coin if it's not gonna work out, you did? You know what I'm saying? Respect me as an equal entity and helping build the mission. That's all we're gonna say. But don't let those people, you know what I mean? We don't really know these people. We don't really know they behind the scenes situation, their personal lives. Don't let that be like, well, I ain't about to build nobody mission, then they gonna leave me and then pick somebody else. They might, but I bet you probably already knew that about that person's character before you got up under the mission.
Okay? So get your paperwork straight.
Just get your paperwork
ahead of time.
Get your paperwork straight. If you didn't hear nothing else,
that's for free.
Because love and emotions is cute, but that paperwork is ironclad, honey.
So that your support of the mission is properly documented.
Y'all remember in Malcolm and Marie? The main problem was Marie didn't have no paperwork. So Malcolm could say and do whatever Malcolm wanted to say and do because Marie ain't had no paperwork. Get your paperwork together, then you ain't got to worry. Staying up all night arguing. If you had your paperwork, Marie, you could claim your creative license.
And and we're being funny, but really,
shout out to JD, by the way. Shout out to y'all for that.
That's how you, as we're going to go through, you're going to hear. That's how you're surrendering.
That's bad surrendering.
But if your stuff is correct, you don't have to fight.
Hello.
So you can surrender all the energy that you would spend pushing and pulling and grabbing and trying to defend yourself. If at the beginning of your relationship and all throughout your relationship, you can practice that surrendering all along the way so that everybody's clear. Everybody's
clear,
vulnerable. Everybody's free. Everybody's cards are on the table because everybody has laid them down. Everybody has surrendered. And then that is what we're talking about here that makes the relationship stronger. We're going to talk about that a little bit more in a few minutes. There's a term for it. It's called relational surrendering. And it's in your relationships. These are the places that you need to just see how you can stop fighting and use your energy to come together for the greater good.
And that's just not a romantic relationship. That's business partnership. In a business partnership, you would think twice. Some of y'all be like, if it's not on paper, then. So I don't know when it comes to matters of the heart and other major organs. Everybody be like, I just don't know. I don't know. Get your paperwork in order, honey, and then you'll know.
And yes, prenup if you have that kind of money or this, that, and the other. But some things can be letters of understanding in your home, notes, things that you sit down and you agree on. Like we were listening to Tabitha Brown last night. Jess was listening and I was kind of over here. And she was talking about she and her husband having a meeting in the backyard before, she had $240 in her account and her car note was $260. And so she was talking about how they sat down in the backyard and they just wrote out, what do we want to do? Where do we see ourselves in the next year? What can we see happening? That is paperwork. I'm not necessarily talking about, you know what I'm saying? Get your internal paperwork in your house together. I'm always a big proponent of including your kids. Have family meetings, have life meetings, have things where you talk about what we're going to do as a family and what your responsibility is and who's going to do this and who's going to go that. We're way down a rabbit hole, but I think it's really, really important that you understand this surrendering is what we're talking about is not holding on to your way of being right, or it has to go your way, or you can't let that go because somebody's going to hurt you. And you may be justified in thinking that because of things that have happened to you in the past, which we're going to talk about today as well. But I'm saying I want you to understand what the goal is and why we're trying to go there. All right.
So we've sort of covered the ground of there's a lot of complexities, right, in these modern day relationships. And, we try to get to healthier, more stable relational situations. Okay, so let's start with the good news. Okay, contrary to popular belief, because I can feel it. I can feel y'all in the ether. Some of y'all rolling your eyes. YouTube's probably going to suggest this to you a couple more times before you watch it. Your skin is literally crawling.
I ain't surrendering to nobody. Okay? I don't give.
I'll quit you. But there actually are benefits to surrendering in your relationship. Okay. Number one, enhanced emotional ability. I think this is very important, right? And obvious that it should be number one because that's what people want. You want to be in an intimate dynamic with somebody. You want somebody to know all of you. Who's that I was listening to? Nona Jones' book on the gift of rejection. Also, if you don't hear nothing else I said today, y'all need to go ahead and get that book, okay? If you got your little Audible trial, then had it. If you got your little Audible trial, okay, honey, get that 7 days, download that thing, get your life, okay? It's working out some stuff. Anyway, she was talking about pulling down masks and why rejection is so hard is because you are, hopefully, if you're in relationships where you trust people, you're vulnerable people, you don't have no mask on, right? You are showing your whole full self to said person, right? And then she talks about, well, if they walk away after that, that's rejection and why it hurts and da, da, da. It's a whole thing. Get the book, okay? But in our particular context, intimacy, that kind of intimacy of being known, being appreciated, being loved, being respected, all of that is what you want, okay? So there's a study that was done in the Journal of Social and Personal Relationships in the year of our Lord 2019, which sometimes I wish I could go back to. There was an innocence in that time. It wasn't. We lost Nipsey that year. But 2018. Before that, 2018 was the best. Oh, 2018 was the best shit. But anyway, and that report found that couples who practice emotional surrender, okay, reported higher levels of intimacy and relationship satisfaction. Now, we've been using this term emotional surrender, and what does that mean? Okay. So that is really just allowing yourself, like I say all the time, to feel your feels, really at the end of the day, whatever your emotional experiences are without judgment or trying to suppress them, right? Because this is why... Okay.
Whenever you take a deep breath like that,
I was trying to figure out how to be nice.
But go ahead.
Okay, so the problem is, this is my observation. I'm not in a relationship, but sometimes y'all be introducing each other's representatives to each other. And therefore, that's a facade or a facade, as someone inappropriately said once, that you have to maintain regularly. Okay. So in a state of emotional surrender, you really know that you hate when that person, I don't know, leaves all the cabinets open all the time, right? You've had a discussion about it. This is a very minute thing. We can go deeper, but like that's the thing you've talked about. I
was thinking even more minute. I was thinking Russell's the popcorn bag in the movies.
Oh, that is annoying too. But anyway, because you're trying to be on your best behavior, right? Be agreeable, kind, even though Shan says you should always have a little bit of disagreeability in your relationship. But anyway, when you do that, you don't really say all the things that really get on your nerve, that you really don't like. That's very upsetting, right? So that's not practicing emotional surrender because things are affecting you, but you're not being honest about it, right? Or you're suppressing it, right? So eventually that builds up, okay? And from a person who's an emotional stuffer, it builds up, okay? So either you end up imploding on yourself or exploding on others, or a combination of both, which is what I do. So it's uncomfortable after a while.
Yeah, but you got
I'm not advocating exploding.
You got to be honest with yourself first about how you're feeling.
Right.
And a lot of times I think that's where the emotional stuffing, I don't think you do this. I think you know why you're mad and you know what you're feeling. I
used to be an emotional stuffer. I'm an exploder now. Sometimes I can go internally, but I pop off on these people, as she can attest, okay? Because I used to be a stuffer. So this is what I'm saying, okay? So emotional,
the pendulum has swung all the way.
I'm getting free,
all the way over to the other
I'm getting
side.
Free. I'm getting surrendered.
Ooh, Jesus.
I'm surrendering. I'm emotionally surrendered. Okay.
Yes, all right.
Because if you keep stuffing that stuff down, right? Because they cute or they fine or whatever, or you just want it to work or whatever the thing is, right? You're gonna implode or you're gonna explode, right? And having that level of, we talk about all the time, communication, honesty, being able to say how you feel with decency and respect. I'm not talking about going crazy, you know what I mean? But being able to be honest in your communication is important, okay? So that's practically important because you have to get into the practice of being real with yourself, okay? Maybe talking to your therapist or writing things in the journal. You might not want to coming in hot. So take some time.
Take a grenade for you.
But you get to let go of your defensive barriers, right? Particularly in communicating, right? To create a safe space of vulnerability that can hopefully lead to some deeper emotional connections. But you ain't gonna do none of that if you fake it. Okay? If you're faking all the way through.
And faking is exhausting. I mean, like,
some of y'all are really skilled at it though. I really think y'all get and derive energy from it, but at some level it's exhausting.
It's exhausting to carry that around. And most of the time, people can see you're faking anyway. You think that they can't smell it, but they can kind of smell it. That whole thing of where you're holding this in and not being honest about your feelings. And the real reason you're doing it is out of fear. Some kind of fear. Either you're fearful of you might hurt somebody. That's a real fear. You're fearful of they might say something that makes you pop off even more.
Or hurt you worse.
Yep. Or you're fearful, that they might throw something back at you.
Or they're going to leave or whatever.
Or they'll leave or whatever. So again, learning how to surrender that fear, learning how to let that go and be honest and open about your emotions.
Big facts, because surrendering, as we've talked about all month, right, really requires open, honest communication about your feelings, your desires, your fears, which is part of that whole intimacy thing, right? Which is, I hope, what you want, right? Because why are you being around people you got to fake with? And vulnerability allows you to be seen by your partner and your partner to be seen by you, vice versa, right? Y'all are being completely open with one another, which leads to deeper levels of intimacy and communication. So when both partners, right, in a relationship are able to express themselves fully, it just really creates a strong bond of emotional intimacy and hopefully a stronger foundation for the relationship because you're able to be fully yourself with this person. This person is able to be fully yourself with you. Again, we're not talking about if y'all both verbally abusive, you know what I mean? If you like, I'm going high, you going low, I'm going lower, then I'm going to hell. You know what I'm saying? Like that's all, we already off. We already off. I'm talking about,
we're not talking to those people.
Self-aware, relatively emotionally mature, developing, right? Everybody's communication skills are at a certain level. Like we can actually talk through that. Which is actually one of the things I admire about Malcolm Marie now that we back on that. They could have that full conversation. It did get ugly in some places throughout the night. Nobody died. Nobody was shot.
Nobody got thrown off
a cliff. Nobody was ran over by a car. Everybody can't do that. Nobody wants to give them credit for that. But I said everybody couldn't have had that conversation. Okay. And in that same study, right, that they were doing in that same journal on couple and relationship therapy in 2020, they found that couples who practiced vulnerability exercises, some of the things we just talked about in terms of, I would say maybe write it down. Because when you write it down, you can get it out how you feel it. You know what I'm saying? But then when you communicate it, you could par it down so it's not rude. You know what I'm saying? But those couples...
Therapy comes in right here, y'all.
For sure.
Because people are trained to do vulnerability exercises with you and learn, Well,
let me finish.
Okay.
Couples reported that when they practice vulnerability in their relationship, it increases the feelings of closeness and understanding by like 40%. So it's not bullshit. It's real. Like this is actually works. But go ahead, say what you were saying.
Yeah, I was gonna say, oh God, help me remember. We
were talking about practicing vulnerability exercises.
Oh, I was saying get a professional to help you because you may or may not know what that means or how to do that. Or you may have a partner that you might be into doing it, but your partner might not be into it. So a professional can help both of you guys figure out what that looks like.
Or one of y'all, and then you can try and go use on another person. I don't know if it's gonna work, but
Yeah. There's ways.
Somebody is getting the education.
Don't just say we need to have a vulnerability exercise because you don't know what you're talking about. So get somebody.
Get a professional. That's what I'm saying. Okay. Number 2, benefit of relational surrender. Okay. Improve communication. This is exactly what we're talking about. So there is a Dr. John Gottman. He is a renowned relationship expert. I didn't know who he was today, but Now we all up on game together. And he says that surrendering one's need to be right all the time really helps improve couple communication. Now, I'm going to stop right here because I can hear the ladies being like, but I am right. I am right 95% of the time. 99. I am right. Listen, I'm not saying you might not be you might be the smart one in your relationship, okay? You might have to take a back seat, okay? Fellas, maybe in your relationship, you actually are the smart one. You like, she not gonna figure it out, okay? But again, remember we was talking about consideration earlier? Like, you want people to feel like they are their best, most expressive, free selves, okay? You don't have to take the information, but at least let them share it, okay? Because if you don't, then I feel like this is a prisoner warden type situation, right? Where there's no active collaboration. But anyway, if you feel like you got to be right all the time, that's a problem, okay?
Can I say something right here? It's the truthful chat. So sometimes the problem is not necessarily that you feel like you have to be right. Or maybe it's that you know that at the end of the day, like Jessica said, you are right. You probably are right.
Let them figure that out.
But
sometimes
the thing you have to understand, if you are the one that, let's say you're right 70% of the time.
She's definitely talking about herself.
No, 60%. I don't care. I'm not talking about. I'm saying from personal experience that when I know, okay, it's a truthful chat. I said that. So I'm saying that part of my issue was the time spent while you get around to whatever.
Everybody got to learn their own lessons in their own time, though.
So it's very important that you surrender. This is what we're talking about. You surrender that need for control. Because if I can see, this is where this needs to go. But the other person may not be able to see it right off.
Everybody learns their own lessons in their own time.
Or whatever. I have been guilty of not allowing
circumvent that person's process.
To go through that process. To be like, hey, this is. But people need to learn. People need to learn at their own pace. And you need to allow them to learn at their own pace. So you need to surrender, like she said, that need to be right and for things to move at your pace. Because, like the people say, if God be for you, who can be against you? So if you're right, you're right. And it's going to get to that
point. Truth is truth, baby.
At the end of the day anyway. It's the patience sometimes that we don't have to wait for the process.
The patience.
And the way and so you have to surrender that need for control. I know I'm really going to, but here's just a quick story. It's that story I love about the butterfly where so a caterpillar is in a cocoon and when it comes out, it's going to be a butterfly. But part of that process is them beating on the cocoon because it makes their wings strong and they're able to fly. Story about a little boy heard it flapping, cut it open, and of course it died. So they're premature because it didn't get to develop the strength that it needed. So truthful chat, even if you think it's going to get around to the way you thought it should be in the first place,
just let it play out.
Let it play out.
Let it do its thing.
Surrender your need for control and just wait. Okay.
This is surrendering the ego, which we did a whole episode about surrendering pride.
Absolutely.
Right? So whether it is in a life circumstance or situation, surrendering your pride in your discussions, because ideally you're making decisions together. So, if things got to run its course, things run its course. Let's just be like, okay, God, well, you got to figure it out, or whoever you subscribe to.
I'm going to trust you and let it go.
But yeah, especially if whether it's decision making or just any sort of regular everyday discussion, you're more likely to actively listen and empathize with the person, right? When you are, really tuned in to actually improving the communication. And if you're like, I'm right, there's no
I win.
There's no communication. My man, sorry. There's no communication happening. It's just you just putting the kibosh on everything, and that's it, right? Which is going to lead to more conflicts, more misunderstandings, and that's really not
my Detroit becoming.
That's not the point, and you are not creating any sort of emotional intimacy when you do that. You just pounding on them, okay? And listen, surrendering and communication is important, right? As we've said, because who wants to do this? So you gotta stop being defensive. You gotta stop being offensive sometimes, okay? So, I mean, we be quick with how am I gonna get you before you get me? I'm finna move around, I'm about to dance around.
And when they say this, I'm
gonna say this.
And then if they say that,
because last week, nigga, you was so that if you constantly calculating and planning like that, the ability to listen.
Tired, I'm gonna tell you that one thing.
The ability to listen, to understand, to empathize is hard because you're so busy getting your responses together. Okay, you like you out here, Muhammad Ali, Joe Frazier, you out here, we boxing. What's up? So when you are focused on improving your communication, that will change the dynamics of your conversations, your decision making, and all the things in between relationally, right? So that y'all can be more productive instead of confrontational at every single turn. Because why are you in a relationship to be confrontational every day and every night? So there's a meta-analysis study that was published in the Journal of Marriage and Family in 2021, when we had all just came out of the greatest relational test of everyone's life.
We were still in it.
COVID, okay? The panini, as I affectionately call it. And they found that couples who have practiced this surrendering to improved communication techniques, they had a 35% reduction in destructive arguments. 35%! That's not quite half, but it's getting there. And a 50% increase in feeling heard and understood by their partner. Okay, so we got to half right in there. Okay?
I love the stats this week because it's important.
And numbers don't lie.
If you came out of the pandemic still in your marriage, kudos to you, because so many people did not make it. Churches, pastors, people, counselors, therapists, everybody was like, I've never been around this person this much. I really can't.
I really hate them. I hate them.
I don't like them at all. And so
let me say, I'm the biggest hater.
So that
I hate the way that you walk.
Having to surrender during that time.
Every day, all day.
People didn't make
24/7 because you was like, I only spend 5 hours a day with this person.
Right.
Not all day, every day, all the time with the kids. It was a lot. So shout out to y'all.
Yeah.
All right. What's number 3 benefits?
All right. Increased trust and security. This is pretty much obvious according to attachment theory. And attachment theory, if you don't know, is
Google it,
but Jess, you gave a really great explanation when you said your relationships that you desire are based on the relationships that you had as a child.
So it's how you form an attachment style, and the attachment style that you prefer in your relationships usually comes from one parent or the other, or you attach to your mother in one way or your father in one way. So if you start researching that, you may be like, oh, I was avoiding with my father, therefore I'll be avoiding with these niggas. Or I was very secure in my relationship with my father, but me and my mama, my mama on my hood was not a thing. So it just really helps. And then sometimes there's like an in between, which I can't think of what that term is.
I wrote it down because I wanted. So there are 4 basic things. One is a safe haven, a secure base.
I never even heard
proximity maintenance, and separation distress. So whether you felt safe all the time, whether you felt secure, whether you only felt that way when you were in proximity to people, that then it was okay, and whether you felt distress at separation. So imagine how, if that's ingrained in you, that plays into your relationships with other people. So
again, shameless plug for Nona Jones' book, The Gift of Rejection. She talks about this extensively. I feel like I'm in the second part of the book right now, but she had a very tumultuous relationship with her mother. And she talks about how that really affected her ability to have relationships, or how she had relationships, or based on that, sort of lack of acceptance from her, it started a particular track in her mind about whenever something relationally like this would happen, that track will start playing in her head to be like, get ready, girl, because this is going to happen, which is also something I've been dealing with lately. But anyway, it's very good she does a really great job, I think, about explaining what that looks like just from the theory of attachment and attachment styles, right? I think attachment styles we've talked about before.
Yeah.
And then how it shows up in your relationship and how you play these things out sort of subconsciously almost, unless you do the work of getting in there to be like, okay, just because this happened with this person, or I know this about me, my relationship with my mother and my father, therefore I'm gonna make different decisions.
Yeah. So again, it's another form of surrender. It's surrendering whatever that attachment style is that may or may not be healthy, to dispelling, like, listen, I'm gonna let that go because it's causing me distress in my current relationships. And so again, you have to be mindful of it. You have to know it. You have to understand it. You have to be strong enough and self-aware enough to look at it and realize, hey, this is the reason why I keep choosing this kind of person. Or this is the reason why whenever I'm in a relationship with this type of personality, this is what happens. Or this is why I gravitate to this, or whatever it is. If you're open and honest enough to be able to look at it, you'll be able to figure out why you're doing that.
And stop saying something that is just your type, okay? Because some of y'all don't really know what your type is. Why? Because you've been attracting dysfunction your whole life.
Yep.
You've been picking people based on these things that you didn't even know that was subconsciously playing on. So let's just say you don't know, okay? Yep. Unless you already locked into something on paper. So then you got to work the things out. But the rest of y'all, you know what I'm saying? Or you keep hitting your head against the wall, dating the same kind of people, and end up in the same. It's all this other stuff that's going on that you're not aware of until now.
Yep. Okay. All right. So surrender in the relationship. You can let go of that. First of all, you can discover it. Then you can let go of it, which will change the pattern. You won't have to try and control the outcome. A lot of time that's a big deal. It's like, I know they about to do this, so I'm about to do that. And I'm going to play them before they play me. And if they think they're going, it's doom, 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 doom. Let that go. Surrender all that. And that shows that you have faith in the relationship, faith in yourself, faith in your partner. But I'm going to tell you something. It's going to require a conversation. Like, you cannot, if you're in a relationship, you cannot keep having all these epiphanies and going through all these things and becoming all enlightened and knowing all this if your partner is not traveling that road along with you, because otherwise you're going to have a hot mess on your hands.
You're going to hit an impasse at some point.
Here's
what nobody really want to say, but I'm that nigga, so I don't care. You going to outgrow the relationship. That's really what it is. So either you going to decide to stay small with that person that's then decided to play small. That's not a judgment. It's just what it is. But if you like that butterfly, they going to want you to stay in the cocoon with them. And you're going to be like, bruh, but my wings though, like I can't. So either you going to stay in there with them,
crawling around here on the ground with you,
or you going to take off and fly. Some got to give. Or you just going to die in the cocoon with them. Like it's really only two options. I know we try to make it very Disney and very cute. Is either fly or die. Okay? Fly or die. That's really what it is. No Diddy. We know where that came from before. It was butt or die. Fly or die. Now we on fly or die. That's what we on.
I felt that in my Shonda.
Don't steal it though, because we're going to put on a t-shirt. Don't do it. I'll find you.
So listen, as trust goes, so does the sense of security in the relationship. And that's what you want. You want a sense of security in your relationships. You want to be able to know you can talk about anything. You can say, like, I admire all these couples that be talking about my husband's my best friend, this, that, and that. In my generation, I don't know that we were 100% doing that and looking for that. Yeah, we had other priorities. But this whole best friend, all that, I think that is absolutely amazing and beautiful. And that's what it should be. And, there are studies that show that couples who reported higher levels of this surrendering and being able to do this, they showed a 28% increase in trust levels. We got numbers for y'all today because we thought it was important because we knew y'all weren't going to want to hear this.
I don't care.
I don't care. I'm not doing it. But over a 2-year period, they saw a specific amount of growth in people who did and did not practice surrendering. You could see a marked difference in the couple. So
they be the people that be fighting on
it's hard. It's hard, but you wanna, you gotta make the effort if you want to surrender. You gotta let it go and go, okay, I'm gonna try this.
Another surrender. Shout out to the Woman Evolved praise team. Go get that Another Surrender on the Spotify, okay? If you love Jesus and you need him to help you surrender, you need to play that and keep it in rotation like I do. Another surrender. Lay it all down
every day. The Journal of Positive Psychology found that individuals who practice surrendering in relationships reported higher levels of self-awareness and personal growth. You got time. You're not fighting. If you're not fighting,
you're growing.
You're
growth.
You have time to create space.
You're getting better
for growth. That fighting takes a lot of energy, right? So you just, get in there, look at your fears, look at your insecurities, look at the things you need more patience with, the patterns that you can see, the things where
that's the number 4 benefit, personal growth.
You're stuck. You're stuck on this thing. This fight keeps coming up. The same fight keeps coming up all the time. There's something there. Peel it. Surrender your fear of, I don't want to let this person know how I really feel, and just get in there and duke it out. If, again,
she means handle it, don't physically.
I don't mean duke it out. I
mean,
do
the emotional work.
Do the emotional work.
Uproot the foolishness.
Yeah, get in there and
get in
make the commitment to work and do the work and figure out what you need to do to surrender these negative behaviors that you've had, or these attachment theories that don't work for you anymore, or these fears of being vulnerable. Like, you got to figure out how to let that stuff go. Yeah.
Let it go. Shout out to Janelle Monáe for that classic hit. All right. Number 5. We only have
quote Dr. Brené Brown, though. I love that.
Oh, Dr. Brené Brown is the realist. You go ahead.
Okay. She's known for her work on vulnerability, and a quote from her that I really like says, surrendering in relationships is not about giving up, but about opening up. So
mindset shift.
It's a mindset shift. Open up. It's the oneness that we find. It's in this openness that we find our true selves and our capacity for growth. But if you're, again, not in a relationship where you feel like you can open up, you're not going to get to that place. So that's the work that we're trying to get you to do.
All right, number 5. We still on the benefits, y'all. It's a lot of benefits. Aren't you surprised? Okay. Reduce stress and anxiety. That's what we've been talking about in this last couple segments. The American Psychological Association says that letting go of control in relationships significantly reduces your stress and anxiety levels. Big whoop and surprise that is.
The cortisol.
But still. So there are some, apparently, I just found this today, meditation apps that can help you with your little relationships. Okay. And helping you to like grow in the recognition of what you need to surrender. I'll look into them because I love me a good app. A lot of the stress and anxiety that happens in a relationship, right, is from you trying to control the other person trying to control you. You can try to control the outcomes, keep the person with you. We've been doing this a lot. Oh my God, you gonna stay with me, I'm gonna stay with you, we're gonna stay together, we're gonna stay together. Like it's a gang, okay? But when you surrender the need for control, okay, you don't need control. And again, as we've said, control is an illusion. Thank you, Sister. Are you even really in control of anything, or do you just think you're in control of everything? Unless you're gonna tie that person in a room and keep them there forever, you can't make them stay. Okay. So when you release that, it's a significant reduction in your stress level. You know how hard it is to keep a grown person. Sorry, I was thinking about the Dave Chappelle thing. To keep somebody locked down and stop doing that. Okay, you want people that really love you and rock with you for you. If you're trying to just trap them and keep them there, girl, sirs, whoever, find you something to do. Okay, because I wouldn't want to be with you either. That's crazy. Anyway, Stop doing that. So you stop fighting against reality.
Surrender that.
Okay. Surrender that. Surrender that need for control. You ain't really controlling nothing. And stop fighting against reality, because they might not want to be with you. Y'all might not be good for each other. It might be chaotic. It's toxic. It's this, is that. Y'all, you can do better. That's actually really what the people don't be telling you. Y'all be like, what if I never find anybody? Lies. There's millions of people out here. Okay. One of them is for you, or 2 or 3, however you do what you do. Don't do the children, though. That's on the ballot. In California, don't do the children, okay? Don't do the animals. I don't even know why I have to continue to say this to y'all, but okay? Anyway, that digress. But just, you can accept and work the reality that you have once you see the reality that you have. We talked a lot about
that's good.
Not being delusional this morning, okay? Some of y'all are avid members of the Lulu crew. Just step out of that, bro. And you might find that you like what happens after, okay? There's a study in the Journal of Consulting and Clinical Psychology that came out in 2023, that's last year, found that couples who also practice, again, relational surrendering techniques had a 45% reduction in their cortisol levels, which is your stress hormone, compared to control group. So the cortisol,
which makes your joints hurt.
It makes you fat, don't it?
Makes you fat, makes your joint hurts, causes inflammation. Does all
you don't
things.
Want the cortisol.
You do not want the cortisol. All right.
So should we say that is deadly to be in unhealthy relationships? It can be, okay? If your cortisol levels is rising every day, you want serotonin. That's the good. You want the dopamines. Maybe not all the dopamines, but you definitely want the serotonin, okay? Those are the happy hormones. That's what you want. If it's all cortisol, no, you don't want to be there, okay? The number 6 benefits, okay? Increased relationship longevity. I feel like, isn't that what y'all are in relationships for? Unless you're a serial dater. Shout out to y'all. But most people who are in relationships, don't you want them to last? Okay. Don't you want to be a long-term situation? There's a 10-year study published in the Journal of Marriage and Family in 2020, which who knows if those results were true after the fact, that couples, again, who practice elements of surrendering had a 22% higher chance of maintaining long-term relational satisfaction. Okay. And I hope that's what y'all want. I hope y'all just not running through people to run through people. But if that's how you get down, do you, boo-boo. And relationship counselors say the ability to surrender is a factor in overcoming a lot of major relationship challenges and fosters longevity, because you being honest, you being truthful, your communication is good, you're reducing the stress, y'all not fighting as much, you're not trying to control each other, okay? Therefore, I would like to be around you more. That's really what it is. It's because you're not being crazy or toxic or manipulative or wild or whatever said thing is, right?
Running your mouth.
You got to... we gotta do a whole episode about that's part of communication, because some of y'all just stop talking so damn much. You know why my cortisol is up? Because you won't shut your damn mouth. That's why. I don't want to hear your mouth all the time. That's stressful for some people. Some people have got high-pitched voices and it's crazy. You just talk all the time.
And some people, it's some kind of fear or some kind of insecurity where you just can't stand the quiet space. There are people that just cannot stand quiet space. They feel like they have to feel it.
Be quiet.
Something's
don't do
wrong.
Not with me, please.
Anxiety. And we should do an episode about that, because I think it's really fascinating the way some people just really.
And maybe you have ADHD or something. You know what I mean? It could be chemical. I'm not mad. I'm just saying.
It could be, but it's something I would like to know more about. So,
but when you surrender your relationship under this benefit, right, you're really letting go of a lot of minor irritations because you're being honest about them, accepting your partner's quirks and flaws, because you know they might not stop doing the things that annoy you. Some of them they will. Some of them they might not do. So you annoy them. Okay.
So like, look at the big picture.
Lean a little bit closer. Roses really smell like boo boo. Okay. So it's an acceptance thing. It's practicing acceptance. It reduces your daily friction, leads to more long-term long-term dissatisfaction, right? Hopefully more satisfaction over the long term. And again, this is something that helps couples navigate through major life changes, right? Or challenges, which we've talked about.
The people gonna die, the mothers, your mama gonna die, their mama gonna die. God forbid you lose a child or anything like that. Like, these are major things. And if you have not learned to surrender some of all these little things and that control and the
irritation.
ego, you're going to have a big problem.
Longevity is the goal. So that same study I just mentioned before said that practicing surrender, 30% more of couples are likely to describe their relationship as thriving. I love that word. After a decade compared to those who are not practicing surrender because they probably ain't together no more. So
or are they together and miserable or whatever. Yeah.
But yeah, that helps with your longevity when you're able to surrender. Again, ego, control of outcomes, not being honest with your partner, like all of these things just can be killers. Okay. And speaking of killers.
Yes. So now that we've talked about some of the benefits of surrendering, let's talk about what happens when relationship surrender goes wrong. Like, what are the
keeping it real when relationship surrender goes wrong.
Dun, dun, dun. So you run into the risk of codependency. Like, for some of you who don't know what that is excessive emotional or psychological reliance on a partner. It typically happens with somebody who requires support on account of sickness or an illness, a real illness, or an addiction. People who are alcoholics, on drugs or this, that, and the other, their partner can tend to really become codependent because they're trying to pick up all the slack of what they're doing, of what they're not doing in the household. They're trying to manage that. They're trying to manage the kids. They're trying to manage that person's life who's not taking care of themselves. What was that show we were watching about?
I was thinking about A Star Is Born. That was very codependent.
No, the one where the kids were all taking care of themselves, where the guy from The Bear was in it. And
Shameless, girl.
Shameless. Oh yeah, we just started
watching Shameless. We're super.
I was like, oh my god!
Shout out to Shanola Hampton for being on Found. Though,
if you want to talk about codependent, that poor sister,
their oldest sister,
and all the kids, all the kids were codependent
because they were all codependent on each other because they had to be for survival,
and they had to take care of their father and take care of each other. So anyway, that's what codependency looks like, and it can be big or little. It can be somebody that blows up all the time, verbally don't know how to manage themselves, and you are constantly making excuses and moving around or whatever. So when relationship surrender goes bad, you just feel like you have to be the one to take care of everybody. So excessive surrendering, you don't have healthy boundaries. Just whatever needs to be done, you drop everything you're doing. You forget about what your needs are. You just are like, oh, I got to help this person. I got to cover for this person. I got you. That's not good. All right. You shouldn't sacrifice. You shouldn't sacrifice your core values and your identity because of the other person in the relationship. So that's not what we're talking about in terms of surrender.
I don't care how much money they have. I don't care how good they is in the bed. Like, none of that is really. Listen, if you're losing yourself as a person in this relationship, there's a level of codependency or transactionalism that's happening that don't need to be happening.
And going back to that submission thing, if you had got that straight at the beginning, you probably wouldn't be over here in this situation right now, because you would have known, I can't get with this person because they don't go along with my core values and my identity. So if you surrender that, what you need in the beginning of the relationship, because of whatever reason,
you're going to keep your representative happy, but you're going to be miserable.
You're going to start a pattern. Okay. So there's a fine line between healthy surrendering and losing oneself in a relationship. You don't want to do that. You want to maintain your boundaries. If a person's needs and their identity become overwhelming and you are under that, if you're underneath the needs of a crazy person, I don't mean crazy, but it could be crazy. You know what I mean? You're underneath somebody that nothing they do goes along with who you are or who you think you are or who you are trying to be. And that is so unhealthy. You don't want to surrender your need to be yourself. Okay. Study in the Journal of Counseling Psychology found that individuals who scored high on relational surrendering, but low on personal boundary maintenance were 3 times more likely to exhibit signs of codependency. So you know what that means? You're surrendering, but you don't have any boundaries. So you're surrendering everything.
So whatever that person asks you
you're
to surrender,
surrendering everything. And that is totally unhealthy. So you don't want
to only do that for Jesus, okay? You don't do it for nobody else.
You have potential to be exploited. You have potential for people to abuse you, to take advantage of you, to take your money. You're subject to emotional or psychological abuse.
Potential for exploitation is the second thing that is a negative to when surrender goes wrong.
So you have to understand the difference between healthy surrendering and submitting to manipulative or controlling behaviors. I know when I said that, some of y'all went, oh, because you realize, and we ain't got to tell you it's not healthy, that you're being manipulated, that you feel like you're being controlled. They won't never let you. You can't. You only give $50 a week for groceries. You can't. All the things
too.
That all the things that are doing all this stuff to you that won't let stuff. Yeah, the kids can't go to McDonald's every 2 weeks or whatever. Just controlling, and not because of budgetary reasons. You know what I mean? They just that person. You know what I'm saying? So it's crazy. So when it's crazy and when it's not. So you are not.
If crazy feels normal to you. You need to be self-aware that crazy feels normal to you.
Ask some of your friends.
And start to lean in the opposite direction.
Ask the people around you. Get around some people.
They probably already telling you. Let's be 100.
Yeah.
It ain't rocket science. Somebody has already told you, I don't think this person is safe for you. I don't like how they talk to you. They telling you how to dress. They checking your phone every day. You can't come hang out with us no more. You can't do nothing. You know when things are
off.
Think of every Tyler Perry movie you've ever seen.
It's that an hour ago.
Or the tele nigga novellas, as his genre has been, the tele nigga novellas. All of that. If you find yourself in a bad Tyler Perry, a tele nigga novella,
feels like a Tyler Perry movie, right?
A tele nigga novella. That's what we talking about. That's unhealthy.
Okay, so you don't want to do that. All right, if one person is constantly surrendering and the other person is constantly demanding, that's imbalanced. Then that's imbalanced. Wow. That's wrong. So, healthy surrendering in relationships requires both partners to participate. Right? If it's one-sided, it's not surrendering.
Yes. If only one person is doing all of surrendering,
it's subjugation.
The seesaw is off.
Yeah,
subjugation.
And that wasn't me. That was Dr. Ramani Durabasula, who was a clinical psychologist. We went deep on this one in terms of getting information.
Because there's a lot of narcissists out here.
And we don't want you to feel like, oh, they're just talking. Like, studies are done about this. So pay attention.
All right, couple more things. Number 3, loss of autonomy. Okay. This is, again, back to over surrendering, right? When you have a low sense of self, right? Because all your personal autonomy has gone to said person because for whatever reason you think that person is worth just completely losing yourself for, right? Again, we are raising narcissists. America, the world too, but America be raising narcissists, okay? There are so many podcasts of people who be like, they do an episode on narcissism and y'all be like, oh my God, that's somebody I was dating or me, okay? So this is why we going deep on these things, so y'all be knowing. Again, think of Tyler, the tele nigga novella. A lot of y'all be like, dang, I know a lot of these words. That's the problem, okay? So we letting you know. So don't be losing yourself, okay? Experts say the emphasis of maintaining your individual identity, right? Your individual interests. Some of y'all, the minute y'all got a nigga, I don't see you, talk to you, hear from you, kick you. I don't know where you are. Hey, do you want to go do this? We used to like to go to the movies. Oh, girl, I don't go to the movies no more because so-and-so want to play video games all day. So now I just do it. Okay, but what do you want to do? Like, you just, what? Parents, my mom, when I was young, she used to, y'all be in that season where you just be watching what your kids want to watch or listening to the songs, so don't be bothering you. But then my uncle was like, well, what do you want to do? Like, what kind of music do you like? Like, why are you only listening to children's music? Okay. So again, that's a level of codependency, but also you losing yourself for the sake of the relationship. It's not bad. It's just somebody to go, what do you like to do? Okay. Forget what they like to do. And I'm talking to them. We'll talk about that, but I'm talking about you. Okay. And so the risk in the process of surrendering a relationship in that way, right, is that you just lose touch with yourself, okay? Your personal aspirations, your interests, what you like, the things you enjoy, right? And that can lead to feelings of resentment. Highly recommend Beyonce's song Resentment if you're going through this. And it's a personal loss of identity over time, right? We've all seen those couples or met those people where either the wife is a shell of a person because their husband is always out front, or vice versa. The husband is a shell of a person because their wife is running things, okay? And so you just start to, again, shrink back in the cocoon over time. That person is all flying. They done duped you. They're like, we're going to be in this cocoon together. And they be like, psych, I'm flying, you stay here, right? Tell a nigga novella. I'm trying to tell you, there's at least 12 Tyler Perry movies about this very thing. And a study in the Journal of Personality and Social Psychology found that individuals who reported high levels of relational surrendering without maintaining their personal autonomy had a 25% decrease in life satisfaction over a 5-year period.
Multiply that by 15 years. Just imagine you've been in a relationship that's been doing this and for 5 years, 25%, 5 more years, 25%. You're going to disappear in a minute.
Multiply. All right. Number 4, just a complete misrepresentation of the concept of surrender, period. Okay. We hope that we've dispelled many of the things. Okay. Again, a nation of narcissists, the Fire Nation, if you will, Avatar. I mean, this is a different Avatar, but still, you know what I'm saying? If you watch the other one. Because I think surrender has gotten a bad rap. We think it just means to always agree, never express your needs, your feelings, your desires, nothing. Just, as I've heard certain men say, get with the program. There's a level to do that. You can get with the program if the program is part of the mission. But if you just want me to get to the program, stick with the program, it ain't no mission. We're not doing nothing. You just want me to be with the program because it makes you feel good. It's hard to get somebody to buy into that unless they're just shit for brains up here. Anyway, so really having the education of what it really means to healthily surrender in a relationship really helps to prevent misunderstandings. And again, surrendering is a very misleading term, which is why we're going so deep on this, right? Because I think a lot of people end up doing this and then they be caught up in the situations and circumstances and they be like, oh my God, how did I get here? So this surrendering is not giving up your voice, your individuality, your personhood, your everything, right, in a relationship, and always deferring to what your partner want to do. You always got to do what they want to do. Now, if you're a kid, that's not 100% always. And I'm not talking about abusive things, okay? Just, your parents are there to keep you safe. There's certain things you might want to do. You might not have the understanding. That's a very unsafe scenario. Sounds fun, but it's an unsafe scenario. But eventually, as you get more life experience, right, that's part of the protectiveness of the cocoon. So any of the kids, if you listen to this, don't be like, well, they said, I don't need to surrender. I didn't say that. Okay. Make sure you have legal age to make your own decisions, because then all the L's is going to be on you. You got to, if you want adult things, you got to put on adult drawers. That's what I'm saying. But in autonomous adult people relationships, okay, and sometimes you got to negotiate that in the teen years, right, because they flapping their wings against the cocoon a little bit, so you got to negotiate that thing. But again, there should not be unhealthy relationship dynamics when it comes to surrendering. The great renowned relationship therapist Esperel says, surrendering in a relationship is not about losing yourself, but finding yourself within the context of a connection. It's a dance of autonomy and togetherness. And I think all the relationships we admire, whether we know it for better or for worse, is this combination, right? You have your autonomy. This person has their autonomy. You have your autonomy, right? Y'all still have separate lives, right? Separate interests, but there's a place where you meet together, right? And y'all do things together. You agree on things together, and you're finding out more about yourself, even in your individual states, but definitely in a collective state, right? The connection helps you understand y'all as a couple, but also helps to improve you as a person and your partner as a person. If it's not doing that, I would say that it is probably negative surrendering at the end of the day, if it's not mutually beneficial.
And listen, we don't want you to think that this is easy
at all.
It is really, really hard to do. There's a difficulty in trying to put these things to practice.
Number 5 is hard.
Yes, number 5, it's hard because Past traumas. We've talked about these things before. Some of y'all got a reason to not trust people. You've been through things in your life that are
completely legitimate,
honey. And it's hard for you to imagine giving up control to anybody, because when you did, A happened, B happened, C happened, D, E, F, G happened. Who knows? And so these patterns are deeply ingrained in you to not lose control.
And you might have learned them in your families. It's not like you didn't come by them honest, right? You might be repeating cycles, but you learned it from somewhere. And that's why we say self-awareness is important, because once you can identify those things, you go, oh, that's not me. I don't really believe that, or I don't even like that.
Or this is the reason why I'm this way.
To the root, boo.
And then you can either decide I need to keep it or I need to let it go. Relationship therapists can help you do that. They can identify the places where you are holding on to something that you don't even know is in there, the DNA of something that happened to you as a child or trauma. These things stick with you, and you may not even remember them. So it requires a practice of unlearning those things. It takes patience. It takes practice. It takes help. And you should not be ashamed to ask for it. You should not be ashamed to look for it. Like if your heart is pounding fast right now, you're probably going, oh my God, I think I could, I might, I should, whatever. You should. So reach out. There's plenty of BetterHelp online. We know therapists. Reach out to us and be like, you know what? I think I really need to talk to somebody about all of these things, because
don't be suffering in silence.
Yeah. If you have had relational trauma, it requires an average at least 6 to 8 months of consistent therapy.
For you to 8 months is a long time.
How long we've been going? 10 years?
Over 10 years.
Right. We've been going to our therapist for over 10 years. So 6 or 8 months is good. But you are going to, because here's what happens. Once you uncover a layer of one thing, you pull that off and you go, this is right here. And then you pull that off, you go, wait, I didn't even know. So it's a process where you just go deeper and deeper, and hopefully you get to the point where you get it all out. The other thing I want to mention is sometimes cultural and personal values conflict. For example, and we talk about this in certain nations, in certain cultures, the idea of surrender is just totally not acceptable. They don't believe it. And so those are mostly cultures where you believe in the community, you believe in collective economics,
it's a society.
Yes, the collective together. So in that you can surrender because you learn how to compromise. You learn what you're doing, what's good for the best of the nation. I think we are in that right now, where we're trying to be a collective culture, not an individualist.
In America,
we're trying to. A lot of us are trying to think about what's best for the country.
Some of us,
even if it is not to our personal or individual
benefit
or liking, it's probably to our benefit, but because the alternative is really bad. But they're
not going to give us everything we want.
Yeah, but
the alternative is
at least
trash.
It is for the good of the overarching country. We hope. Versus individualism, you just do what you want for you. You do what's good for you. And so when you're talking about relationship surrender, you have to take that in mind. You might be in a relationship with somebody who comes from a very individualistic culture in their home, the way they grew up or whatever. And then
if you're dealing with an American, that's for sure.
And then you're coming from somebody that's very family oriented, and everything we do is for the good of the family. So you trying to rock like that, they trying to hold on to what's good for them personally.
And we have those classes in America too, because some families are way more individualistic.
Everybody I meant in America. Yeah.
I mean, but literally this is about cultural things sometimes. So if you're in interracial relationships or whatever, like you just might have some cultural differences too.
And you can see sometimes people that grew up in huge families where they had to sacrifice all the time, they turn out to be the ones that are like, when I grow up, I'm never sacrificing. I'm never giving anybody anything. I'm going to get all I want, all for me, this, that, and the other. So you just have to take all those contexts. You have to take all that into context when you're talking about who you're trying to surrender to, and be aware of it, of that cultural perspective. So
big facts.
Yeah.
All right, again, don't get it twisted, okay? We're not saying that these things are easy. They definitely not going to be super easy now that we brought them to your attention. Because, you know,
we might have to do a sale on this.
There's a lot of benefits, right? And there are a lot of disadvantages. And this is why we are constantly emphasizing on this show. If this is your first time, or if you've heard us a bunch of times, like self-awareness is crucial. If you didn't hear nothing else today because you got lost in the sauce, you was crying, you was like, oh my God, this is my life. Like, take courage. We brought these things to your attention so you can have more self-awareness about where you are, about where you've been, about where you want to go, right? Because the more that you are aware of yourself and what you need and what you desire, you can weed out good partners from bad partners, right? You'll have an easier time communicating your wants, needs, desires, and fears. Self-awareness is really the secret sauce. Dare I say it's a main ingredient, but if you want to sprinkle some mo in, it's the main ingredient and secret
extra
sauce,
butter,
right? To being vulnerable, because surrendering in relationships is very nuanced, right? That's why we gave a lot of caveats and a lot of things, because y'all just be like, I'm with somebody, which means I'm in a relationship. Maybe not, based on what we talked about. You just with that person and that person with you. You might not actually be in a healthy, safe, loving, nurturing relationship, okay? And surrendering could be a very powerful tool, right? In enhancing the quality of our partnerships and our personal well-being, especially when we do the things we emphasize today, right? Let go of control, embrace vulnerability, accept our partners as they are as much as they can. If this just you can't stand them, they're not it. Okay. And when you open the doors, when you do all that stuff to deeper intimacy, improved communication, and a lot of personal growth. Again, we said you should be growing, your partner should be growing, and there should be things that should be happening as a result of y'all being together. That hopefully is about an overarching mission, individually and collectively. Okay. So again, surrender requires a lot of awareness. But you also, have to balance that thing, right? So it should be you being self-aware, your partner being self-aware, but also nobody should be surrendering on a one-sided track. Surrendering needs to go both ways. Okay. Because again, if you don't have it going both ways and one person is surrendering, you got to have you're going to have codependency, loss of autonomy, exploitation. If you're not maintaining healthy boundaries, right? You got to really have that self-awareness, and it's got to be a non-negotiable so you don't fall into those things, which is important.
Yeah. I think you pretty much said everything I wanted to say kind of as a wrap up. I'm going to encourage you to start small. Don't try
if you've been watching this and you the person who's like, oh my God, I just think my relationship, like it's okay. This is why this exists. So you can reassess, reevaluate, right? And figure out, again, if you're not an abusive, controlling, manipulative, we talking and you like, ooh, I got to get out. Go with that. But if you are in a space with somebody that like, okay, y'all willing to work, or you realize, man, I've been really one-sided in my surrendering, and you trying to right the ship, okay, couple little tips to walk away with real quick.
Start small. Don't try to do everything. You gotta take baby steps. You can't turn the Titanic in a sharp left. You know what I'm saying? If you got a big boat
hit an iceberg
and it's got a lot of problems, the ship turns slowly, and you got to be willing to be patient and watch the ship turn, steer it, turn slowly. The turning is going to take a lot of work, but it's okay. You can get it to go the other way. You got to communicate openly. We say it all the time. If you don't know how, we've done episodes. We
talked about it today.
Communication, how to make it better, what to do, how to actively listen, all those things. You can go back. You can see where episode upon episode. Healthy surrendering does not mean that you're sacrificing, okay? Your core values
and well-being. You have to maintain your boundaries.
You have to maintain your boundaries. Seek support. Get some help. It's not easy to do these things. Like I said, we've been in therapy 10, 12 years. Yes, we have talked about some of these things. So it's a process that we have worked through. We're still working through.
And sometimes you just need an ally. You need somebody to tell you you're not crazy, right? Like, what you're seeing, feeling, hearing. They said what to you? They did what to you? Because maybe other people outside have been trying to tell you that, but like when a professional tell you that, you hear it different. Like, damn, you're right. For them to just be like, you're not crazy, right? Yeah. So having that support is invaluable.
Yeah. Practice self-reflection. Check in with yourself to ensure that what you're doing is benefiting both you and the relationship. Like I said, you don't want to just be getting better, and the other person is down here. They don't know what you're talking about or whatever. So,
or vice versa.
Yeah.
You ain't doing nothing and they off over here and then you're still unbalanced. Okay.
So thoughtfully think about this, the practice of surrendering, how it can make your relationship more authentic, more vulnerable, more open, more fulfilling. And as with any change in relationship dynamics, be careful, practice self-awareness, and when needed, get you some professional
guidance. And again, be patient. Okay. That's also one of the little caveats, things we want to add to if you're trying to right the ship or do something different. Okay. Because the goal of surrendering in relationships, you're not supposed to be losing yourself. You're not Eminem. Okay. He's losing himself to crap. If you're losing yourself to a person, you're not in the right relationship. Okay. The idea is to create space for both you and your partner, again, to grow individually. And again, when you practice some of the things we highlighted, talked about today, you'll grow personally, you'll grow in your relationship, you'll have deeper, more satisfying connections. And all of that is part of really creating generational wellness at the end of the day, because you'll be authentic. People will believe you. You are personally growing.
You'll believe you.
You'll believe you, right? Your romantic relationship, business relationship, anybody you come in contact will be like, oh, you authentic. Therefore, me being in a relationship with you will be authentic. Therefore, we'll find our way to generational wellness eventually. Okay. So again, surrendering your relationship doesn't mean you got to lose yourself. Okay. And if you're losing yourself, something is wrong. Anyway, thank y'all so much for being with us tonight. I know we went deep. Okay. But we told y'all we was going to go deep. Because this is the stuff y'all be wanting to know. You be like, Jess, Pam, when y'all gonna talk about me? So we did it, okay? So you better watch, share, like, subscribe, do all the things, okay? November is upon us. Let's join hands. November is upon us. November 5th is upon us. Y'all pray for us as we pray for you, okay? Get a plan. You might not need it, but you might need it, okay? I'm believing we're not going to be in the series finale of America. I think we're going to pull it out. But just keep us lifted as we keep you lifted. And plan. That's all I'm saying. Where you going to go, amen. What you going to do, who you going to stay with, where the money's coming from. Take only what you need. But let's just pray that America got it sold up. Anyway, November is upon us. It'll be a new month, new topic, and new Truthful Chats, baby. So make sure you're subscribed on YouTube, follow us on IG, Facebook, fan base. We're at Create Generational Wellness on all the platforms. We'll start rolling things out probably more so towards the end of the year, because again, we're doing marketing restructuring. The episodes are going to be looking different next year. We got 2 producers coming on. It's a whole lot of things. So we only have 4 episodes left before we hit that 100 mark, boy. And once we hit that, then we will be taking a short hiatus, very short hiatus, to get things all ready for next year. So with that, we bid you adieu. Love you so much.
Be safe out there.
Back. Please be safe. Happy Halloween. And hopefully surrendering isn't spooky to you anymore. We hope. Bye.